Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited today to bring you a video. I missed you guys last week. It was a crazy week for me, crazy week, a lot of stuff to get done, and my energy just got driven a whole nother direction. So I'm really glad now that I'm able to stop for a second and get a video done for you guys. Today's topic is going to be, as you notice from the title, it is taking a minute and waiting. Power in the wait. Waiting. And for me as a Taurus, waiting does not come easy. I want what I want and I want it now. I want to, I need to see the fruits of the labor quickly. So oftentimes, even when I start a project, I usually start with all of like the marketing graphics first before I even start working on whatever the content is for the particular project. And that's because I really have to see the vision first. And sometimes that's good, but sometimes it's not. Because in this life, a lot of the times, the things that are given to us and bestowed upon us from our, from spirit is not something that is, the things that we're given are not something that we can see right away. You can't get all the pictures. Part of the reason is that we can't handle the whole picture at one time. We'd probably mess it up. And I've seen that from experience. I've asked for things and wanted things and planned things. And I'm thinking I'm planning something, huge and something monumental. But at the end of the day, it was nothing compared to what was blessed upon me, what was given to me. And so I learned to wait and take my time. And it's still a process because I am accustomed to getting in the way of fate sometimes because I'm so worried. And my nature, again, for those of you who watched the video about, who I am, I talk about my essence. And my essence is really, it's that thing about you that is more felt than it is said or seen. And so when you think about your essence, you got to think about the type of element you are. And sometimes it can be connected to your zodiac sign. I mean, I'm an earth sign. So naturally, the things that about me are very rooted and grounded. And then going even further to when I begin to talk about spiritual energies and spiritual guides and things that follow me and surround me and that govern who I am, that natural element and earthly energy that governs who I am, it's a very nurturing energy. It's a very motherly energy. It bears a lot of worry with it. And so many people know me as I can be a very worry ward. And so for you, you might be different. So once you start to learn your essence, when someone asks you who you are, you can begin to tell them your essence first, not just so much what you do and your role and your job on this earth, because that's just your means to an end. But who you are, your essence lasts long after you've transitioned into and you lose this body and you go on to the next life. So learning how to wait is huge. It's huge, but it is such a struggle. And so these are some of the ways I've dealt with learning how to wait. Number one, you have to first understand that everything happens in its own time, that you can't rush anything and that you have no power over anything. And that is a scary thing for someone who likes control or someone who tries to plan everything down to the detail, to really sit back and come into grips with the fact that you have control over nothing but yourself. But what you will do in the next minute, but what you will think in the next second, but all the other elements around you that are a part of manifesting what you've asked for, whatever that is, has to play out. They have to have it go through its natural course. And many times when you try to jump in and play your role and dictate the other person's role and dictate this role and that role, you rob yourself. You rob yourself of the gift. Gift, something about the gift is so special when someone thinks of you and gives you something that you hadn't expected or something that you didn't plan for, you didn't have anything to do with. It shows their character. It expresses their heart towards you. And when you jump in and try to dictate and direct your blessings, that's when it gets really complicated, because you wind up selling yourself short, and you'll get what you wanted, but you won't get what was intended for you. And so I've learned over and over again, this had to keep happening to me, that if you sometimes just sit back, even, and it's easy, see, when we talk about blessings, when we talk about, oh, we're getting something beautiful, I can't wait, I can't wait. And we talk about that anxiety. But what about when we're waiting for something, or we're going through something that is traumatic, something that is not good, something that doesn't feel good, something that is looked at as, a hardship? How do we then wait for something to happen? And when I say wait, do I mean do nothing? Not at all. Do what you can. Do what you can. But after you do what you can, you have to just kind of go through it. It all has to have a beginning, middle, and an end. And for some people, we want that beginning, and we get that first feeling of this uncomfortable thing, and we want to just jump right to the end and have a resolution and fix it. And that's not possible. Sometimes you really do have to go through it, and you have to learn from experience, and you have to wait for it to figure itself out. You have to wait for you to heal, for others to heal, for the different elements that got involved in the situation to come to a plateau before you'll see the end result. And that is tough, because while you're waiting, there's pain. While you're waiting, there's like fear, and there's sadness sometimes connected to the wait. But it is what it is. And it's a process that we have to learn how to govern in, because in the wait, it also can take away a lot of stress from you. Once you release yourself from the pressure of feeling like I had to change it. As the oldest of 6 children, I constantly had this feeling of kind of like mother goose over my siblings. It's a feeling, that comes from a lot of other elements. It comes from poverty, it comes from lack, it comes from fear, it comes from connection. And I sincerely believe that all of my siblings are a part of my soul tribe. And so we have this very fused bond that if you smack one, I think everybody's face will turn. And in that, though, comes such a sense of urgency to jump in and to rescue every time someone or one person goes through something. And it's that fierce rescue, that ready to die any moment for one another, that sometimes causes us to jump in the way of each other's destiny. Sometimes we have to sit back and we have to wait. And we have to wait and see how the universe plays out. We have to wait and see how, the energy plays out. And we have to give that energy the opportunity to show itself. And so for me, it's tough. It's tough to do while you're waiting, because you want to jump in. And I've done it over and over again. You want to jump in and you want to write a check, or you want to jump in and you want to, you ready to fight, or you ready to advocate, or you ready to jump in and do whatever you have to do to protect. Because in your mind, you feel like you're protecting. You feel like you're guarding and that you're showing support. But there's something so amazing that happens as I matured and as I continue to mature, when I realized that the greatest help to someone may not always be jumping to their natural aid. And when I say natural aid, I mean the natural self, the human self, using your human resources and yourself and your body and your energy and your human resources to come to their rescue. Sometimes that is not the way. Because what that does, it can build a codependency upon you. It can allow you to build a super ego in which you believe you saved someone or something. And it really does stop you from connecting to the spirit world, to spirit, to understanding how spirit works in your life and how your spirit guides, and, these bodies of energy that love you, your ancestors, how they work together to make your dreams come true. You rob it when you jump too soon and you begin to think the I did it, I made it happen. In reality, there is a whole collective team. There is a collective plan working on your behalf. And in order to see those beautiful blessings manifest, you have to be willing to step back, sit back, and wait, even when it's uncomfortable. And, it was so funny because as I'm growing up, and I'm seeing how things happen, how you have relationship troubles and sometimes you have friendship troubles. And I can see how easy it is for one person to become the villain and the other person to become the savior and vice versa. And you start to learn that every chaotic situation, every fire alarm, red alert, emergency that happens in the lives of people we love and in our lives, there's so many parts to it. And depending on your perception, depending on where you view the problem from and where you're coming from and who you are in the problem, you see it completely different than the others that are involved. And so to come in and wave the axe of justice and say, I want to advocate for this one and that one because I love them and I'm right and they're wrong, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough, especially when you feel like you've gathered evidence that I'm jumping in to save somebody and there's no need to wait because I know that they're right and I know the other person is wrong. Be careful of that. Be careful of that because that is not always the case. It's 90% of the time not the case. Because based on the other person's perception, whether the person was even the liar or the person lied to, or if the person was the person who was attacked and the attackee, from someone's perspective, not 100% of the time, but I give it somewhere between the 80 and 90% of the time, based on the person's bird's eye view, they thought they were right. They felt justified in what they did. They felt justified in the lies they told. And whether their moral compass matches your moral compass, and you feel like, hey, why did you have to lie about that? Or why did you have to say that? It really doesn't matter because to them, it was necessary. And that is what I began to learn how to wait. Because people will rationalize in their heads what they believe is necessary at the time for their life. And a lot of times, sometimes their rationale sacrifices you because something they think they have to do, something they think they need to do sacrifices you. It sacrifices your peace. It sacrifices your friendship. It sacrifices your everyday quality of life. And after it does that, you feel justified in anything that you have to do after that. And it's an endless cycle. It's an endless cycle. But sometimes we have to wait and let people's energy follow through. It's that concept of you reap what you sow. And at the time that we feel something is necessary and we take a life action, whatever that action is, it could be something good, it could be something bad, whether you're going to hit somebody upside the head or bless them with $1,000 in groceries. Whatever action we take, that energy is sold out into the universe and it has to play out. And the good energy hands down and it passes down and it puts smiles on people's faces, and that those $1,000 worth of groceries, it fills up a family's belly, and they in turn have enough energy to go out into the world and maybe do something amazing. And see, that energy source sifts through and it may have a positive outcome. But then again, we have the other side where people sow seeds of anger, of, mistruths, jealousy and guilt. And we sow all these seeds and we throw all these stones out into the universe. And that has to play out like a ripple in a pond. It has to continue to play out. And when you jump in, you intersect that ripple, and then you don't know what might happen. You don't know what you're stopping. And 90% of the time, you're stopping somebody's growth. You have to allow people a certain level of pain for change. You have to. Think about all the times in your life that you have really changed, really said, this is not working for me. I got to do better. Most of the time, that change didn't come from a happy place and a place of peace and meditation. That change came from a place of pain. Cause and effect. You did something, it had an effect that was not pleasing to you, and you realized, I can't live like this. So when we intersect, we have to really understand how we learn as human beings and understand the concept of how to really help somebody. And sometimes if we just wait, I've learned now, my rule of thumb is when someone calls me with a red alarm, I call it the red alert or a red alarm, you know that phone call where it's, this is happening, we need you right now. When someone comes at me with their emergency and jumps into my aura with their emergency and tries to exchange that energy onto me, the first thing I do is I'm learning now how to take a step back and give it a day. And give it a day. Sometimes the emergency is so urgent according to the person on the line or the person who's in front of me that they believe it has to happen now. And so I say, well, give me an hour. But I always do the one. Give me a day, give me an hour, give me a short period of time that I can step back and I can wait to see what spirit is going to do, how the universe is going to play itself out, how your situation is going to change you. I give that opportunity for what you sow to come back. Because sometimes, yeah, we reap things that we sow and they're not good, but it helps to mold us. It helps to change us. It helps to shape us. And so I don't rob people from the good, and I sure try not to rob people from the bad, because I've learned in my case, that lonely, dark place where you're wondering, how did my life get here? How does this happen to me? Where you're literally so sick to your stomach based on what's happening to you that you don't even see tomorrow being possible. I've been at that place, and I've had to wait in that place longer than I would like to have waited there. But now that I'm not there anymore, now that I've allowed that energy to play out, I'm so glad I stayed there. I'm so glad I was able to wait in that. And I didn't think about things like suicide or, anything crazy. I may have thought about it, but I may have thought about it. Let me take that back. I may have thought about it, but I'm so glad I didn't act on those impulsive energy, that impulsive energy at the time. And that I had to force myself and bear with myself to sit and wait in it. Because now that I'm out of it, I realized how that terrible situation made everyone involved grow on some level that is evident and that is positive. And so I learned that waiting in the hardship, waiting in the bad times, and waiting in the good times can have amazing effects on your character. That is the water. That is part of if we are a plant waiting and going through life's trials and life's blessings would be equivalent to the water, would be equivalent to putting some plant food in there. Yeah, I would say that rather than the water. It's really closer to putting plant food in your plant. You don't put the plant food in the plant every day, which is that we don't go through these serious trials and tribulations that we have to sit in every day upon day, because it would be too much for us to bear at some point. People would crack, if you weren't strong enough. However, it could seem like we do, but we don't. We do get moments of rest. We do get moments of joys and smiles. But every now and again, we get these alarms. We get these traumatic situations that feel like we're going to die, that feel like, no one understands what we're going through but us. And it bears such a heavy weight, and it gives us no options. We turn to our, we turn it to every side, and we just have to stay in it and go through it and wait for it to pass. When those moments come, I encourage you to hold on and to stick it out and to wait. And if you're the person observing someone going through this, I challenge you to sit back and just wait a minute. Just give it a day. Just give it an hour. And most of the time, a lot of the time, that situation works itself out without you. So that is my spiel on waiting. I'm still learning how to wait. I'm still learning how to learn in the wait, because there's one thing to grit and bear it and wait in that sense. And then there's another thing to wait and to do something while you wait, which is to be a part of the spiritual team that is coming to your rescue, and to join the problem, not with your physical self, but with your spiritual self, to manifest a better outcome. And I'm learning that. I hope on this channel to begin to show you guys some of the practices that I do that can help you through your hard times, that can keep your mind clear, keep your aura clear, and can help your spiritual team and your ancestors manifest what you are praying for, what you are in need of here on this earth. We are not alone. and we are very much loved, protected, and fiercely guarded in every way. And it's more like a team negotiation. When you think of your enemies and the people you love, you figure, oh, I'm the only one who has people advocating for me because I'm right. Even the wrong people have a spiritual team that advocates for their greater good. And so while we are waiting through this tough time and we feel like, why is it taking so long? It's because there's a negotiation process happening. There's a process in which whatever the outcome comes, it has to be beneficial, whether it's just a lesson. It has to be beneficial, whether it's just a lesson learned or a blessing given. It has to benefit us in the long run and in totality. And so you have to give time for that to happen sometimes. And you also have to give the opportunity for other people to jump in and help the situation, because it's not always your job to rescue. And that is something that I'm learning. So if you're a rescuer, if you're a natural nurturer, if you are the caretaker, the center, the rock of your family, it is maybe time for you to take the back seat and learn how to wait. You won't be alone. I'm waiting there as well and learning all the ways. But I tell you what, each day, each step I take, it is a relief and a release to know that life goes on even without me, and it can go on with me. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation, and I hope something I said helps somebody. Until next time.